On the very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. I don't know what I just said there. And for some reason, we don't know where Spaz is. We hope he's okay. I just texted him, which I don't think I've ever done. Also joining us is your co-host, Julie.
Hi, tactics is my second language, or maybe my third.
Oh, Spaz just texted me. He just woke up. So he'll probably be joining
Let's give him a
us
bit then.
Phew. Okay. All right. And also joining us is your co-host, Thorsten.
Hello.
And your co-host, Jacob.
Because this is the world we live in.
Did the animation
joke? I know.
Did the animations remind you of that video? Is that where? Or
no, it's because it's made by the band Genesis.
That was Genesis. I always think somewhere in my brain that's Phil Collins. For some reason, it
is Phil Collins.
I know, but for some reason in my brain, I think it's him being a solo. But I never remember that's actual Genesis. You're right. You're absolutely right. If you don't know what Jacob just did, there's what's the song called?
Land of Confusion.
Thank you, Land of Confusion, and it had a puppet style that at the time was oddly popular. We don't know why. I don't remember why, but yeah, folks, if you want to do the chat, Discord is still being a bit weird, so you got to use Twitch or YouTube, please. Discord will show some messages, but not others, so we can't fully trust it right now. Restream is aware of the problem. So we have a guest this week joining us from. You're in Spain. Am I remembering that correctly?
Portugal.
God damn. It's right next to.
Hello.
It's
American
right next.
geography.
It's right next to Spain, right?
It's right next.
Okay.
Yes.
So
a bit to the left.
Yeah.
Same peninsula.
American public education, ladies and gentlemen. It's great. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show, Adam Solo, to talk about Interstellar Space Genesis and its latest expansion. Welcome back, man.
Hello. Whoa. Hello. Glad to be here again. You guys.
Thank you so much for coming back. Big fan of your game. If you didn't already know, I tell people it's probably one of the best 4Xs of the last decade. And I truly believe that because it strides a very careful balance between the familiar and the new, and it does it amazingly deftly, you do a great job of this is just like Master of Orion 2, but
Yeah.
And
Glad to hear that.
And yeah, you've done a great job. So it's both but it's more approachable, I think, than the original Master of Orion, because back in the 90s, games were like, oh, this is the only game you're going to play for 6 to 8 months. Just dive in the deep end, bastard. Go ahead. We don't care.
Not only that, what even is UI design?
Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh, right. The UI for Master of Orion 2 is, not great. It wasn't great then, but it's
Frank.
good.
I told you before.
It was a thing. It was very much a thing.
Hey, Spaz.
Also, hi, Spaz.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late.
What were you going to say, Jacob?
I was going to say that I am a purveyor of older games, especially by my age and standards. But one of the things that makes me bounce off far more than graphics and anything is just bad UI.
Oh, and there was no unifying anything back then. So, for first-person shooters, didn't use WASD. A lot of games I'd love to play Crusader No Remorse. Wait, I have to use the numeric keypad? No.
I'm still annoyed at what's it called, Sinai's Alpha Centauri, because it's a great game in terms of design and playability. It is so obtuse.
Yes, it is. Even with its really pretty good manual, it is still a pretty obtuse game.
Yeah, I guess we are all spoiled by now.
We really are.
Yes. Great UI design. Yeah.
Oh my God! Like your game, like your game. I gotta say, your UI is great. I love how you have not only tooltips for everything, which
is good.
It's so important these days. Yeah. So important you have tooltips on every bloody element. And I always appreciate a game that really invests in tooltips, and you guys definitely have.
We did our best with that because it needed to be intuitive, and we were trying to find a balance between the UI design, and the tooltips help with that a lot. So yeah, we invested in that a lot.
Yep.
By the way, Master of Orion 2 had tooltips, incredible, by the time, but they were not as obvious, so you had to click, I guess. So and
oh yeah,
it was funny that I went back and then so it had. So
was it like a question?
Not as easy as now.
Was it like a question mark in the corner or something that you had to click or something?
No, I think you just had to click. I don't think there was an area you had to click, but you had to click. So it was not obvious, but it was it was there already. But it was still in the early days of that approachability. Yeah.
Well,
Speaking as a kind of a neophyte to tactics games, I have to say I really appreciate, because tooltips are so incredibly important to me, and not just, especially I like this because I don't have to figure out where they are, push a question mark, push an F1. It's like part of it is even voiced, and it's like your little game says, no, hey, dummy, up here, read this. I'm going to read the first paragraph for you. Read the rest. I said, that is so great. What do I do? Move over here. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for spending all the time in the tooltips. I really appreciate it.
And not just that, but like the onboarding, like Julia's saying, you've got that tutorial robot lady person thing that explains just about everything on your first go, and does it both succinctly and efficiently. Like she never outstays her welcome, which I think is great.
These are complex games, and that's a ton of systems and information. So it's just the basics, but at least it's there to ease some things for people to start right away. And then the tooltips get in also helping you. So the idea is that after not very long time, you're comfortable enough to start enjoying your time. Otherwise, you get frustrated and quit.
The big thing is, if you come back to the game after a long while, it's easy to remember what everything does, because you can just go, oh, all right, so that was a button that did that thing.
Plus, I like the fact that I can say it's my choice to have her say it again. She said, don't say it again. I said, no, please say it again. I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
until you hammers in. Yeah. The assistant is very patient.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
And good news. Restream bot seems to be working.
I don't trust it. Don't. I don't trust it. It's been so flaky lately. Like earlier, it was like one message from Twitch would go through, but then the next two wouldn't. Why? No idea. But they're aware of it. Adam, if you're not aware, we stream to 7 different places, and we use a thing called Restream Chat to look at all the chats in one place, which is very handy. And so you could you could see every chat in one place. If you're on YouTube, you could see Twitch. If you're on Discord, you could see all of them, that sort of thing. And when it works, it's phenomenal. When it works, it's phenomenal. When it doesn't work, it is maddening, because so much of these streams relies on the chats,
Yeah.
And if not for that, we'd only have to stream to one place and one place only, just to keep things working. Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
That's a little inconvenient.
Yeah, I like streaming to multiple places and giving people a choice as to where they watch.
Right. So
anyway,
Genesis.
Back to the game. So I just wanted to say one more thing about the UI before moving on. The UI is pretty effortless. Like that's I think one of the best compliments I can give a UI is that it like I'm having fun enjoying the game and using my brain for that, and not for where's this button or where's that button. Because you have those little like iPhone style pop-ups for when a thing needs doing, like the little alert style things and whatnot. So I just have to say your UI just blows me away with how just it frees up brain juice for other important stuff like deciding whether to hire a leader or where to put them or that sort of thing. So I really appreciate your UI. Now, Interstellar Space Genesis has been around for when did the original game come out? Was it 2019? 2018?
2019, 25 July.
You remember, of course you remember the exact day. It's like giving birth to a child.
Yeah.
Of course you remember the exact.
It's almost 3 years. It's almost 3 years.
That is
July 25.
That is great. And in 3 years, you've had 2 expansions, which is also great because people I love that your expansions are like the classic actual style of expansions, where you're getting like new races and other fun stuff, not like, oh, it's a piece of art or it's a song.
Yes.
Or
now there is the soundtrack to buy separately, but that's the soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack, by the way. Really great soundtrack, by the way. Great music.
Glad to hear. Yeah. We did our best to make it as best as possible. So we tried early to get good composers, and we had the luck to work with the Grant Kirkhope at the time to produce a few of the songs, and we were extremely happy with the result. It was quite expensive, but we think it was important because one of the things that we remember from the day playing Master of Orion 2 and other games is that music was really important to get you into the spirit of the game.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
It
also won a prize, so definitely we're very happy.
Congratulations. There are some games I remember their soundtracks more than actually playing them, like Ascendancy, for example. Great game, but the soundtrack is whoo. I've probably listened to that more often through the years than I ever played the game.
Music is important, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate the work that goes into the soundtrack. And it's like that's why there's a lot of games I play. The first thing I do is turn down the music all the way down. But when a game is really good, it's like no, leave it up. I want to hear this.
If I'm allowed one diversion, I am sick of the weirdly Eurocentric idea in design that soundtrack should just be in the background and that it should be unmemorable or immemorable, or however you say that in English.
Oh, really?
Wait, this is actually something that's quite prominent, especially in AAA studios. That the idea that video game soundtrack, somewhat similarly to a lot of modern film, it's kind of related to it, should be just in the background and not notice it.
Dumb. That's really dumb.
Which always reminds me of the disparity whenever I go back and forth, for example, between playing something like Mass Effect, which has a good soundtrack by a competent composer, but it's a soundtrack that's extremely difficult to remember any song from, and then compared to something like Ace Combat, which has a legendary soundtrack.
Or I was thinking Final Fantasy 14, which also has
Final Fantasy 14
exceptional soundtrack.
Or Persona, which is why I suspect it's primarily Eurocentric.
Yeah,
because it seems like Japan has the monopoly on the near monopoly on good memorable video game soundtracks.
And then when you have a good
but
soundtrack,
also the indie scene.
And then when you have a good soundtrack, you get to sell that soundtrack and make more money because people remember the soundtrack.
Yes.
So why not make a good soundtrack? It's another revenue stream.
Well, of course, it also specifically the Japanese AAA scene because the indie scene is a bit better about it.
I've got a friend that's an executive producer for it's not a space game, and I won't bring it up, but it's a multiplayer game, and the music is so great that he'll say, "Don't you want to play in this area over here?" I said, "No, I'm not leaving." Well, so why not? Is it because I love the music where I'm at? I play here just to hear the music.
Yeah, there are times when I'm playing Rebel Galaxy Outlaw and I won't use autopilot because of the song that's on. I'll just fly an extra few minutes just so I can hear the song. Anyway.
The songs in that game are really good.
Oh, yes. Anyway, back to Interstellar Space Genesis, the game we are here to talk about.
Apologies.
No, it's fine.
We're really bad at staying on topic.
We are. But no, I'm really glad that your game has done well enough to warrant 2 expansions. And so, folks, if you're not aware of what Interstellar Space Genesis is, first, why are you here? I mean, welcome, but come on. So, but if you're not, it's basically like a homage love letter to Master of Orion 2, but with modern sensibilities, modern UI, tooltips, all that kind of fun modern stuff that make it a much more approachable and I think better game.
While also having enough incremental improvements to not just be the Master of Orion remake.
Oh God, yeah, that's a good point.
Which is average.
It wasn't terrible, just wasn't great. So the game has had 2 expansions. We're on the second one now. The first was called Natural Law, which added a couple of very, how would you put it? Ecocentric? Would you put it? Ecocentric races?
One of them, yes. The Palatian are very ecocentric and friendly with their environment and eco-sensible. Yeah.
I love that one race you added in that expansion where like, we live on a goddamn utopia and we're gonna make every other planet a goddamn utopia. And if you try and stop us.
Exactly. I mean, why
You're
not?
free to try.
Yeah, those are the Palatians. One of the races add that Natural Law adds. The other is the Syrinx, and the Syrinx are like your bully style Judge Dredd type race that wants to protect you and defend you, and of course ask for some compensation for it. So yeah, that's the main inspiration for them. And
Right.
It's also one of the most, I think, well, at least one of the most memorable that people usually like to make references to.
Oh,
They're
really?
also-
We were very happy with those 2 races.
Aren't they the like Ewoks in power suits?
Yeah, the little creatures inside there, huge mechs. Yeah.
They're certainly a memorable design.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes. I love the design.
That's a nice colony you've got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, they are like tech lovers, but not really good researchers. So they like to buy stuff and buy the new thing and ask others to research things for you, that kind of thing. And buy techs with money now in the new Evolving Empires expansion, for instance. One of the special unique abilities they have is that they can buy techs with money.
And that's through the evolution. Sorry, Jacob. That's
Okay, but that brings me on to the question that I'm asking for the benefit of the audience and not because I haven't actually had the time to play the expansion. What does the expansion add?
Yeah. Well, the Evolving Empires. Evolving Empires adds 2 main new gameplay features. One is these evolutions. Evolutions is like it's like new abilities that you unlock. So it's an extension of the space culture mechanism, social policy style, like in Civilization, that kind of thing, that are unique to your race, but these are more substantial. These are unique and more substantial in the way that they change the gameplay. So they were designed in mind to really break the game or to make it different when you play each race. And each race has 5 of them. So you can go down the tree and you can opt for the usual perks or opt for the special ones that you can unlock with time. And as you go deep, the special powers become even more powerful. But it's not just granting you powers and bonuses. It's really to give you a different experience. So for instance, only the human have this artificial directive perk that gives you android leaders. So if you enjoy having a lot of leaders, and these will suit you. Or the Dragul have this supreme predators evolution perk, gives them bonuses when they kill monsters. Or extreme transformation on the Moltar allows them to colonize all planets, like all biomes and gravity types are ideal for them. The Sulak have Death Switch for example, which allows them to collide with other ships instead of doing salvage in combat. That is replaced with the collide action, and the kayak have the ability to have a capital defense force always stationed in their system, and a heavy production bonus in the capital in this type of hive mind capital style thing. The Nova race has the unbridled power unique ability, where you can exchange any unique ability available in the game, not these ones, but the other unique abilities at any time. So and so on. The Palatian can use space monsters. So space monsters, usually you have to fight them. And the Palatians, they just join them. It's like they embrace them, and the monsters like them, and they protect them, and and you can just go there, and they join you, and then they have babies, and you can have more, and so you can have your own space monster armada.
They have puppies and
Space
kittens. Oh my god, they have space puppies and
Space
kittens.
pets.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Right, so I think
Space monster is the question.
And these are
people will
just
ask.
a few. There's 40 of these unique abilities, 5 for each race. Also, the first expansion to a couple of races also received this in Evolving Empires. So these are the evolutions. So these are 5 evolution perks per race that really alter the game and provide a lot of asymmetry when you play. That was the main idea behind this big feature. The other one is minor civilizations. You have seen other implementations, I'm sure, in other games. In our game, minor civilizations, pre-warp civilizations exist, and you have to first detect them. On a spaceship you will know somebody's there, intelligent life, but you don't know who they are or what they grant. So you get no bonuses right away. But if you do a full scan, then you can know at least what they can give you, the type of minor civilization, so you can establish a relationship if you are in supply range and get a bonus, a level 1 bonus. In time, if you survey the minor civilization with a survey ship, you can unlock further bonuses. An immediate bonus for the first that does it, for the first empire, and one that you choose from the ones presented. So the first empire that meets them gets the bonuses right away and can pick which bonuses. And then everyone shares the bonuses. So this is the feature where the minor civilization is not yours. It's like everyone has access if they have supply range. But then the last level of relationship is you bring them into your territory. And if they are in your territory, you get exclusive bonuses. So the minor civilization belongs only to you. You get some diplomatic repercussions. And that was the idea also, to spice up the diplomacy. And they vote for you in the galactic election, and you can destroy them if you wish, but then these will upset others. So it provides new dynamics on the exploration early on and mid-game, and also on the late game as you keep finding them, because some will be hidden in brown dwarfs or in white dwarfs or rogue planets. So you will need to discover them. And then so this can extend up to the late game. So these are the minor civilizations. Then these are the big 2 new features of Evolving Empires. And on top, we had 7 new leaders. These leaders are 1 for each minor civilization type, so inspired by them, and 2 new music tracks, specifically designed, inspired by one of the features. So 1 for the evolutions and 1 for the minor civilizations. So this is what you get with Evolving Empires. A lot of new asymmetry when playing the races, and new minor civilizations to discover and get relationships going.
And asymmetry is such a really unique thing in 4X games that doesn't happen as much as you might think. Like when I try and think of real, like meaningful asymmetry, like with your expansion, you guys pretty much have it now, but like I think of Soar of the Stars, for example, as another great example of asymmetry, and maybe Master of Orion. I mean, not Master of Orion, Master of Magic, maybe. That might be it.
If I might say something here, I think it evolves with time. I think, at least it's my perspective or opinion, I think back then when something was different, because everything was usually the same, but when something was different, we thought, oh, so these guys can colonize every planet. the silicoids, for instance, in Master of Orion 2. Oh, so this is great, this is different. But these days, that will not be enough. That will not cut it, because there was amazing games that were released in the meantime, and that brought the bar up on the difference of what you can do. So, but that was just my opinion on how asymmetry has evolved a bit on time.
No, that sounds about right. Good.
Something that Torsten and I were talking about off mic, and I'd like to hear his take on it, but the appreciation of the diplomacy part of the game, because the first race I encountered was the Moltar, and I guess because they reminded me so much of the Tholian in Star Trek. The first time I saw and I love the animation, by the way. First time I saw someone from the Moltar, I said, "Oh my God, I'm dead. I just better restart the game now." And he just said, "Yeah, okay, well, let's just trade." And I said, "Wow, really? Come on in, help yourself." And so I just played the game, and nobody was trying to smash me into the ground. And I said, "Wow, diplomacy works. That's great. Thank you so much."
Yeah, the Moltar can be very friendly. If you're friendly with them, then they will be as well. They're very joyful. Their inspiration is something along those lines, of some innocence involved. So the juxtaposition of being like a monster or something like repulsive in diplomacy, but they are like a child, and so they will be happy to play if you wish.
Well, the little fan part of it says Interstellar Space. It says repulsive. I said, I don't think they're repulsive. Wow. Plus, the first little ability I chose was to be able to settle on acid planets. And I said, well, I'll be right at home. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, diplomacy is pretty great in this game, I have to admit. It's like I really like how different, like asymmetrical, I guess, the races are and how they approach things. Like in my first game, I played a couple of games recently. I played one on a really tiny map, and then I played one on a really big map. And so the one I played in the really tiny map, I sent a ship not through the human space, but kind of near it. And they were like, "Hey, fuck you, war." Like, oh, Jesus, what? Oh my God, excuse my language, but it was like very abrupt. And I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of is what humans would do, isn't it?
Yeah, it can happen. It depends also, yes, on the race.
I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a human thing to do. Yeah. But one thing that is great about your game, and a lot of 4X games have a, especially early when you're just hitting next turn a few times to get to the next thing. But that is rare. That is the exception in your game rather than the rule, which I really appreciate, because more often than not, you'll have a decision to make, at least one decision to make, during a turn, which is really what all we want in these games, is to make interesting decisions.
Exactly.
And you, more often than not, give us, like, I think my favorite decision besides galactic events. I love galactic event. Love galactic events. But my other favorite thing is when you discover a rare resource and you're like, okay, do you want these hardened bullets or do you want a power plant? You can only choose one. Which one do you want? I really like that. Yeah. I really like that a lot.
I like it as a game mechanic. I hate it personally because I get crippling choice paralysis.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, that's the benefit of the mechanic, is that it does make you have to decide based on the situation you're in right now whether or not you need one of those more.
Or in the future, because it's permanent.
Yeah, you can't undo that decision. You're stuck with it.
Yeah, I usually try and think more forward, like I might not need these medical things now, but they sound like they'll be a benefit to my empire later. So I'll take that one. I just love how you've woven in all these interesting choices to all these different parts of the game. Like I bring this up every time you're on, but I think exploration is one of my favorite things about your game, because so many games, exploration is the first part, and then you're done, and then that's it. You know, you found everything. But with a game like yours, exploration really never stops. Which is so great, folks. If you're unaware, you haven't played this. There are multiple levels of exploration. It's like a big onion. Basically, you have the typical, you're going to send out a frigate to look at a system. That's the very basic, look, there's a planet there. But then you have to send a survey ship to do a little more deeper dive into a system and go, look at these ruins we found. Or look, we found more about this minor civilization. And then there's also a long range exploration where it's like they're looking through telescopes or something, and that's how they find like rogue planets and things that even the ships didn't find because they flew past them. So exploration goes all the way to the late game.
And it goes even deeper than that. There's the ruin exploration mechanic where you have to send an explorer leader on a survey ship. And then you can explore the ruins once by default. But then if you want to explore even further, you need an expert explorer leader, which you probably won't have until the mid or late game. Right. So you have to give them enough experience to level up their exploration capabilities and then have them come back later. So just because you've explored it once doesn't mean you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So I wanted to... Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, that was a conscious decision because I too also... We all feel usually that exploration is a big part for X games. And that was an issue usually, is that you run out of interesting exploration decisions by mid-game or even earlier. So the idea was really how can we push this a bit more and make it more deep and more interesting. So it's as you said exactly. You said it good. And then so you end your game, even a big game, and you haven't. Probably you will never find all the hidden stars and so the neutron stars and rogue planets that will be there waiting to be found, and these usually bring good benefits, even that work throughout the game. So there are hints on what you can find where, and you can speed up your remote exploration if you wish. It's another option, as you said. Another vector was to enhance the decisions in a way, as you said, the paralysis. So the idea was to strike a balance so that you don't get the paralysis or the frustration of not getting something, but at the same time also have interesting decisions to make. So that was the idea, to strike a balance there.
Yeah, and that kind of weaves itself into other parts of the game. Like I'm looking at the stream right now, and there's the infrastructure upgrade you'll get in a colony, and that's another way to make a colony more useful. Like, do I give it another construction slot so I can build another thing? Do I give it a shipbuilding bonus? Do I want this colony to focus on shipbuilding? So you're always making interesting decisions that can be different from planet to planet, from moment to moment.
And even from race to race.
Yeah. Because
that can influence which choices are going to be available to you for the most part. If your race is, say, Moltar, you don't have a lot of planets you can settle on because a lot of them are just out of your range as far as colonization ability. So with your small growth rate, you have to really prioritize where you want to settle.
Exactly, and how you develop the infrastructure may be key with that. So it's a way at the same time gives you choices, and at the same and also reduces the micromanagement a bit. It may not seem so, but instead of having a ton of buildings or a ton of things you need to do in each colony, and they can get quite a few, you have some leverage. You have some handles and switches. You can make choices and upgrade colonies in a certain way, but only from time to time, not always and not everywhere at the same time. So that was the idea, to give it a bit more depth to the specialization of colonies, but not requiring you to build a ton of buildings everywhere the same.
Yeah, it's nice that you don't have to do the micro that you do in other games. I really appreciate
that was one very important aspect. I'm not sure we accomplished. It's not perfect in terms of there's always some degree of micromanagement involved, especially if you play a very big game, a gigantic game, and you have a lot of colonies. That will happen a bit, but that was surely one of the things that we knew from the start that we needed to get right, was to alleviate the micromanagement in a way that was fun, so with decisions and interesting things to do, but not requiring you to build everything everywhere the same, or to micromanage a ton of ships, or which were probably the worst aspects of Master of Orion 2, because the rest was really great.
Yeah, that was so... Yeah.
It was a problem.
Every colony needs these buildings, so you have to build all those first before you can build anything interesting. Nope, not here.
Yeah.
Not here.
It was an issue.
Yeah, you've done a great job.
If you will,
I think you succeeded, honestly.
Sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Thanks.
if you will allow me my fangirl moment here, and that is, first off, and as I said at the top of the show, tactics games are like my second, maybe third language. So when I say tactics game, it's like, okay, everything is still pictures. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so incredibly boring. Just shoot me now. And when I brought this up and I said, okay, the leader pictures are animated pretty good. And then when I saw the colonies, I said, oh my God, look at that. The birds fly. It's animated. And then I saw the little button that says, would you like to automatically manage this? I can just watch it grow. And I came back and there was more buildings. And I said, oh, thank you so much. So I just absolutely love the colony animation in this game. And when you got somebody who's a noob to tactics games like me, that's a big draw. So thank you so much. The animation is wonderful.
You're welcome. Yeah, that was interestingly another thing we wish to get right. I mean, we are an indie studio. We don't have a lot of resources. But we knew that it was important to get a good ambience when you visit a colony, because it was also one thing that I really liked in Master of Orion 2 is that you can really, people live here and it's different. This colony is in a different system, and all that helps with the immersion and with the story. So we tried our best to do in the resources, in the limitations we had to develop something that was attractive and indicative that, okay, these guys live here, it's a different environment, and provide a good enough animation for each. So the immersion in the colony system was also something we wished to deliver.
I mean, it's one of those screens you're going to spend a decent amount of time in, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, I wanted to ask, so when you're creating an expansion like Evolving Empires, how does that start? Like, is it because a lot of people are asking for a thing? Or is it because something you wanted to put in 1.0 that you didn't have time to fit in there, or wasn't like ready to put in there? Like, how do you come up with an expansion like Evolving Empires? Like, what was your process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. It's a bit, as you said, that what the community would like to see. There is a lot of that. So we take that a lot into consideration when we design the next expansion. I mean, it's natural. I mean, if people are interested in one thing, we try to accommodate. Of course, if that goes in line with our vision for what we would like to offer, and how do we reach that list, or why these features? Why not others? So for Evolving Empires in specific, as you ask, we felt, as while playing and also reading community feedback of the game, but also our own feeling, that the game could use really even more meat on exploration, especially early, because early, it's true, there's a lot of stuff happening, but sometimes there's a bit of a lull there where it's something to spice things up there, early game and also mid game. So a bit more meat on exploration. Some sprinkles also, so synergies with diplomacy. We felt things could become a bit static. So the minor civilizations bring a bit more, spark a bit more disagreement because you are establishing exclusive relationships. So you have to make decisions. You may create some enemies if you do that, or destroy a minor civilization to negate it to someone else. So that kind of thing. So we also thought that was important to have. So these are the minor civilizations. I think these were the most important reasons why we added those like the way we did. The evolution perks that unlock the special game-breaking abilities, we really felt that the community also was saying, and we really felt the races could be upgraded further, even to unlock all the lore and to give them more personality and character while you play. Also to give you more reasons to play the different races and to enjoy and create new play styles and new stories, emergent stories. We thought these would help a lot with that. And it's different each game. It's mutually exclusive, and there are 2 paths. I forgot to say that before. So the evolution perks, you may go one path one time and another in the other game, and you can also randomize. So replayability is always a big one in games, and Forex games, it's top. So this would also increase replayability. So in the end, was about adding more depth, adding more longevity, replayability, fun in the asymmetry and experimentation of playing with new toys. People are saying in reception to Evolving Empires that it brings new joy, new color, more color to the game. So that was the idea. We thought these 2 features in specific would please the fans, would go in line with what we thought was required for the game at that point. And you have to understand that it took almost 1.5 years to produce the expansion. So this was mostly what we thought was really required at the time. And then the game evolved. It received free updates, substantial free updates. But then the expansions bring these new content and these new abilities and these new ways to play. So, and we are getting very great reception from this expansion in particular because it really unlocked, I feel, a lot of more from the game already. So this was the process. Then it's just hard work, and to make it happen, it was really, really hard work. 1.5 years, as I said. Also lots of art, expensive art and music that caught in. It's only 2 new tracks, but I say only, but it's expensive. Our composer, the other composer, Ryan McQueen, which is great composer, did a wonderful job creating a sound music for each feature, and that was it. That was the process. In the end, you get these, and it's really great to see the reception and see a lot of people happy about seeing new content and reading reviews where people say that they are playing until late night or early morning and enjoying themselves is really great. We're very happy.
Yeah, so far every review I see for the new expansion is positive, and I love how one review says that the devs listen to my feedback.
Yeah, we do. It's tough sometimes because there's a lot of stuff, and we have a very big list, but we do consider everything. We prioritize stuff. Not everything will make it in, but some things do enter the game.
I just wanted to say it's just so nice that you listen to your community, because more than once, without using any names, we as in other people I know, we've seen companies that refuse to listen to the community and paid a heavy price for it. So wow, bravo for doing that.
There's definitely a balance there between listening to the community and then dealing with the feature creep, because that can go on to the other extreme if you listen to the community, or at least the most vocal of the community, even if they are a minority, far too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And that can lead to incorrect feedback, leading to extra feature creep and then taking it in a direction that alienates a large percentage of the community just because you listen to a minority that just happened to be very loud.
That's all correct. Yeah, I agree. You need to strike that balance. It's not easy. It's not easy.
There'll always be an unsilent minority, and there'll always be people who, don't understand the cost of something like, animation on the scale that this is. And developers will say, I'm an indie developer, so not without a second mortgage on my house. But still, whether it makes it into the final game or not, I think that's really important for a developer to do, and I really appreciate it when it happens.
I think one of my favorite pieces of feedback I see for almost every game, especially single player games, is, can you add multiplayer? Can you add co-op? It's like, how about we don't? Well, it's not just a switch you turn on, idiot. I mean, sorry. I get so frustrated.
It does seem to be that a lot of people ask for things, but they don't necessarily know what goes into making that thing happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And if you don't plan for multiplayer from very early on in development, it is a very difficult thing to add after the fact. And you have to rebalance everything around that. Yeah, it's just very bad.
Exactly. It's both technical and design challenges. It's really, really a difficult feature to add for sure.
Yeah, like I can't imagine playing this in multiplayer. Especially with the asymmetry and the evolutions, like I just can't imagine playing this in multiplayer.
It's horrendously unbalanced, if anything.
But I think some of the greatest strategy games are unbalanced. Like, there's a reason people still play Master of Magic. It's because there are world-breaking spells in that game.
Exactly. You know what? I abide a bit by that that philosophy myself and my colleague Mr. Keith Turner, also co-designer. We share that idea that it's okay to have features that unbalance the game, if even game breaking, or if it's fun. Basically, It sounds easy, but it's not easy. But if it's fun, then great. Of course, this then conflicts with multiplayer. So of course it is.
Yes,
that's why it's hard to add multiplayer and to also have these fun game breaking stuff, because people will find it frustrating and will complain that they are too powerful, etc.
Yeah, so I appreciate you keeping this single player because it doesn't need multiplayer. It doesn't. Besides,
if you want multiplayer for a game like this, there are plenty of options.
Go play Stellaris. If
Damn it! I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Why? You know how much I love Stellaris. It's one of my favorite games. It's so great. Why aren't more games like Stellaris? He said,
"You could not say that with a straight face."
No, I have a huge grin on my face right now because I'm lying through my teeth.
Brian, if there are any Swedish people pointing guns at you, please blink twice.
Hey, I don't blame the Swedes for Stellaris. The Swedes have enough to deal with. I don't blame them. I don't blame the Swedes for Stellaris.
Sure.
No, that would be the development process that have at least 3 leads go through in its development cycle. So they change tack so many times.
I feel like we need to do a post-mortem on Stellaris one of these podcasts. But anyway.
That will be whenever it's done. And I don't want to say that. I don't say that as a negative thing because, well, it is still being developed. There's still more stuff coming out for it.
Yes. Because it's Paradox. Anyways,
yeah.
Genesis, please. Ladies and gents, we're really bad at this.
We're not. Well, but that's probably what people. I think some people tune in for the tangents. I'm not even kidding. People have told me they love the tangents. You know,
good to know.
So people have told me they love when we get random. You know, so don't stress about it. It's gonna happen. I mean, there's 5 of us. It's gonna happen. Anyway, so now we're on the second. Like, this one took a while. So I gotta ask the question: is there another one in the wings?
In the what?
Is there another expansion for Interstellar Space Genesis in the wings, in the offing?
Well, the answer is there might be, but at the moment, I mean, it's the classical answer, but it's really the truth here. Is that we really go one at a time. We go with the time, and we release, and we see the reception. Of course, you need to sell well to continue expanding the game, because at the end of the day, we're a small company and a business, and that's the fact of life. So that's the policy, and that's what we do. Like I said, we try to we are the community. We try to add the features the game really needs and that the fans would like to see. We deliver. We try our best, and then we see where we are, and that's where we are exactly now. I mean, it's really the truth. We are still in the post-release phase, fixing some things and tidying things up. That minor things, not substantial, but. And yeah, we will then talk about what will come next. So no, there's nothing already set. I mean, there are ideas. We always have more ideas that one day maybe could be see the light in new content. But no, there is no next expansion in the works or really thought out how it will. There's no layout. Third expansion or something like this. So there are ideas. We really need to see where we are now, and then we'll decide if there will be a third expansion or not.
That's totally fair. It's too soon to say anyway. If you're still taking feedback from and dealing with whatever issues come up from the post-release of this DLC,
exactly,
then it doesn't make sense to say, well, we have another one coming now.
We don't even have the resources.
Exactly.
Even if we were thinking, there's not even resources for us to start thinking. I mean, just the design, it takes ages, and to make things that are really tight. And so, yeah, it's not possible. We really need to go one step at a time.
You know, I feel obligated because I always have my own unreasonable request, and I know the answer is always never. But you never know.
It's not coming to the Switch.
You never know, because I said the same thing, and then Hello Games said this summer, and I said, "Oh my God, thank you."
God. We really need to make that bingo chart.
Yes, Thorsten is right. That's the next S word.
Yeah, we need to delay one of the more recent episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. If y'all aren't watching, it's probably the best Star Trek since Deep Space Nine. They had Enterprise Bingo, and it was hilarious. Oh, yeah, maybe we need Space Game Junkie Bingo. It would have Elite Dangerous on it. It would have Star Citizen, Stellaris, the Switch,
Space Toilets,
weird tangents, dumb Shogun quote, and Shogun forgetting the quote.
Manuals.
Well,
probably manuals.
You never know. I never thought that No Man's Sky would come to Switch, and then,
it is surprising.
And then they say, and you're right. I'll never be heard from again. I'll take breaks just to play this game.
Yeah, I think it comes down to resources and mainly to the UI, maybe, because these text-heavy, complex games really need to show things reasonably well, and we did our best for the guys with the big TVs and all that. So we offer some scaling options, but I'm not sure if that will be enough for Switch. And it would require another level of resources and people to look it over. I mean, I have a feeling it will not be impossible or really that hard, but you just need the resources to just consider it and to analyze if it's possible or not.
Yeah, I could see this being turned into like a gamepad interface event, but it would take a lot of work. It would take a lot of work, but and you'd have to scale the text properly for when it's in handheld mode and yada yada yada. So Yeah, that would
we
be.
see games being released, Forex games, but I mean,
No.
these are AAA
It's a lot of effort.
studios.
And also there is the Nintendo approval process, which requires time, money, effort, and pedigree, I guess.
No, realistically, because of how text heavy is, I don't see how it would ever work. But I can appreciate that one thing that's important to me is that, it's like, you want to make the UI bigger? And I was like, hell yes. My eyes are 66-year-old now. And I need, yes, I want to make it bigger.
Yeah, we are aware that it's important
And
to have always that in mind.
all us gamers are getting older. And we need help in a lot of ways.
And I just have shit eyesight.
Yeah, you're already starting from a poor position.
My eyesight is already on the downward swing. It's just very slow.
When did you start wearing glasses? Tangent. When did you start wearing glasses? I started wearing glasses when I was 12.
I think somewhere around the same time. I think 14.
I've needed them since I was 3.
Oh, Spaz wins.
Yeah, Spaz definitely wins.
Well, quote unquote,
only being born legally blind, it's kind of a
Yeah, big air quotes wins. But good way to put it. But yeah, we're just thrilled with your game, Adam. We really it looks like it's doing well. 2 expansions in, and this one's getting, like I was telling you, I'm on a couple of forums where I've told people about it, and more people are coming on board, and they're loving it.
I forgot what I wanted to mention about it when I wanted to thank the developer for. The surprisingly good and genuinely scarily well detailed ship design module. It's really good.
Oh, really?
It is genuinely there's a board. There are when it comes to Forex, there are 2 big board games. There is Twilight Imperium and there is Eclipse. And the reason why I mention this is because Eclipse is notorious. Like, its main selling point is just having a very good ship design feature with a lot of rock, paper, scissors, a lot of options and variety, and a lot of ways to just to trade and balance your ships. And this game somehow manages to replicate it to a decent extent. It's not it's not to the extent to which I would have liked, because the extent to which I would have liked is even more insane than the game being on the Switch. I played Homeworld and Nebulous Fleet Command. There is no upper limit for me. But it is a well-designed system where you can actually have procurement considerations and making ships designed to counter your opponent's strategies, as well as exploit what resources you have the most of, because different weapon systems are tied to different strategic resources. So if you have a lot of the missile resource, you can shove a lot of very good missiles onto your ships. But also missiles operate differently to lasers and kinetics. They have different ways of defeating them. Then you can also design different weapons for different tasks. There's point defense missiles, there's carriers, there's all kinds of good stuff. And also you can have dreadnoughts with big flock of spinal cannons on them as one of the factions. So I'm sold.
It's
one of those.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's one of those areas also where you also need to strike a balance. We took a lot of inspiration in there from Master of Orion 2, and we added a bit more depth. Of course, not going again into the dangerous area of micromanagement, but to add more depth and choice on how you modify your shields or you modify your maneuverability if you wish to have more speed and accuracy, if you wish. And so these knobs where you can add the spinal mount. So this sprinkles these new things that we added to make it more interesting, more deep, but without going overboard with offering almost like a mini game or something. No,
now I will say, the community thanks you for not going overboard. I don't, but the community does.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it depends on the game. In this
Yeah,
type of game, at least it's my opinion. The expectation is that you strike a balance because so that you don't go deep in any system because all need to work at all of them at the same time and integrate well. But if you go
Unless
too much
you're-
on one, you start to lose a bit the pacing and
Yeah.
the enjoyment, I feel.
Unless you're literally distant worlds and can adjust every single system and its complexity individually because of its AI system, you need to figure out a way to make everything digestible. So one thing specifically isn't like 10 times as tedious as everything else.
Or just make it
Yeah.
a separate game. Like make the ship designing a separate game.
Fair enough.
And some games have gone that route. Some games have gone we're just going to do ship design and that's all we're going to do. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what was that really good one, Spaz? Sunshine Heavy Industries? Was that a really good one?
Sunshine Heavy Industries, yes, which is ship design as a puzzle within a budget.
It's ship design
And then-
as comedy is basically what it is. It's ship design for giggles, for shits and giggles. Because you have a requirement. You can do whatever you want to get there.
Yeah, and symmetry is not necessarily always an option, but
Nope.
it is. You will build as much as you can within the budget you have, and as long as it works, you
win.
take home the profit. Yeah, you take home the profit of whatever it is, but it's usually generous enough that you can build what you need to, as long as you don't go too overboard.
Right. Jacob, I'm glad you brought up the ship designer because I don't design ships in 4X games. So I have like absolutely
Zero experience with this. You just
Yeah.
run the presets. Fair enough.
That's all I do.
Whereas I went in, saw you could set lasers to point defense, to heavy mounts, to like wide angle, to interception, so that you could have like missiles with different warheads and different like targeting parameters
Oh.
if memory serves right. And I just went, okay, so I'm just gonna spend the next 2 hours in this, and I'm gonna love it.
We're getting into Galciv territory here, it sounds like. Really?
You don't have to go that
Dude.
far into the weeds, but it helps.
You absolutely don't have to. I just really like doing it.
No, it's nice that it's an option. It's one more way to really enjoy the game. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's optional. You can automate that feature if you wish.
David,
You know,
good.
it's a small thing, but it matters to me. Thank you for the ability to have a human empress and not just an emperor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's great to add more variety. We added that on the first expansion, Natural Law. It added the 2 races, but also added more ruler options. Again, a request from the fans, and that we also thought was important to add more flavors, so you have more characters to pick as emperors. So the humans get 2 more, so 3. One of them, Admiral Diaz, is a female, and then each of the other ones get an additional.
For variety's sake.
Yeah, it's
Yes, well, I appreciate the choice. Thank you.
representation
You're welcome.
matters. Even in
It really
aliens.
does.
Or even in aliens, representation matters. Even
Yeah, we think our 2D animation artist Camilo did a great job there.
Oh, they're great. Your art is really, especially for an indie game, really great.
Yeah.
Very, not only it's almost evocative of the mid '90s style that you're honoring.
Animated portraits, yeah.
Yeah, it's very evocative of that style from back then, but with much better, much more detail and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, this game is such a love letter to Master of Orion 2, while again still doing its own thing, which I think is really what makes it special.
Yeah, it was definitely the main inspiration. Master of Orion 1, also one of my favorite games of all time. But also other inspirations, of course, from other games. I mean, from
Oh, sure.
even Star Wars Rebellion, leader style approach, or from Crusader King. I mean, there were a lot of inspirations that we tried our best to fit in, not because we wished to have that, but because it really made sense. We thought to improve the formula, to keep what worked, and to improve the formula in the way that the community will be happy to enjoy. Because that's how the project started. The project started as you say, a love letter and a homage, and a spiritual successor to Master of Orion 2, because there really was a demand for that at the time, and there still is for this type of design. But of course, we knew that we wished to improve the formula, to bring it to the new standards, and to deliver a product that people could enjoy. And it's great to see that a lot of people are enjoying and having a good time.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't bring over the space combat from Rebellion, right?
I don't know enough about Rebellion to say anything.
Rebellion, the core game of Rebellion, still to this day is fantastic. You're moving units around, but the quote unquote 3D space combat module that they have for that game is atrocious.
On a scale of 1 to Birth of the Federation, how bad are we talking?
Oh God, that's rough.
Yeah,
because Birth of the Federation,
not the combat. Yeah.
Birth
of the Federation had a good combat system, but not so much in the main game. The rest of the game had too much micromanagement, and that's unfortunate.
But yes,
for combat, the main inspiration was Master of Orion 2 and 1. For Rebellion, Star Wars Rebellion was more the leaders. So the fact that your leaders can go in espionage missions, for instance, and then get back to work in your fleet and bring information into your colony. So that sort of thing. So it was an inspiration there.
Yes. Jacob, playing Rebellion, sending Han Solo on a recruitment mission or Luke Skywalker on an espionage mission is just a delight. It's just absolute delight. So if you haven't played Rebellion, I think it's on GOG now. Totally check it out. And yeah, you're saying there's still a demand for this kind of gameplay, and a lot of people have tried. A lot of people have really tried to make their own homages, let's be kind, to Master of Orion 2, and just failed miserably. It's like they don't get why there was lightning in that bottle. They don't understand that at all. It's like, or
perhaps more important, they try to just do the lightning again, and comes out mediocre.
So many.
We have the Master of Orion remake, and we've talked about it, and it's distinctly okay.
It's so mediocre. It's forgettable. That's its biggest sin. It's completely forgettable. Because
it plays like Master of Orion 2, but with slightly less charm.
Oh, and better voice actors. It's got some Star Trek voice
by
actors.
Default.
So yay! But I mean,
it's not easy. I mean, it's easy to It's hard to do this type of homage, because you will have to innovate, and you will not just recapture the same spirit just by copying. That's for sure. That was not the idea. The idea was to really pick from the fundamentals, from the formula that we really knew, or we tried to figure out, it's something that you feel. It's not easy, but we knew the formula was solid, and people appreciate the formula of this type of game. But then, how do you improve on it, and how do you deliver it to today's audience? It's really not easy, because you need to solve that micromanagement issues that we talked about, and bring it to today's standards, and keep the charm, and keep the all those good things, and add your own twists. And we did our best. I'm not sure. If we did the best so far, but it's surely not easy to do this type of spiritual successor. I think we were moderately successful on that, but it took a lot of time. It took a lot of community feedback. So the years in spacesector.com, when we were hanging on there and writing reviews and reviewing all those games, I could assimilate a lot of the areas where you will need to improve to make that formula work. I think that was crucial. on this path to Interstellar Space Genesis, to be part of that community at that time on spacesector.com, reviewing all sort of games and thinking through what made it special and what could be made now that will be well received enough for it to be enjoyable. And I think we were moderately successful at that, at least.
Yeah, no, I think you were. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the company is doing well enough. I would say the game did well enough to allow us to keep improving the game and releasing new expansions. And because let's face it, for 4X games, it's like that. It's you try our best, and the game took a lot of time and a lot of effort for its 1.0 release. But yeah, it's the fact that the 4X game needs to continue receiving love from the community to see what's working, what could be improved, and with time. And I think this is the key, where I believe that there were probably many other games, and I played them myself and reviewed them, that tried to do a type of spiritual successor or homage to these or other games. The main issue was not that the quality or the interesting features was not there. I think the problem, the question is the potential only gets unlocked with time, and it's really not easy to keep working and to keep going until you can find that success. I think that's the tricky part. If those guys, if this continued and tried, and eventually maybe the games would blossom and they would also have good games. The ones that were not that good, but you really need the time. So you really need the resources. You really need the desire to do this thing, and a lot of personal sacrifice, because it's really hard to do this. So in the end, it's really a labor of love. You can do it professionally as an indie, but it's not easy.
And it really comes through as a labor of love when you play the game. Like, that's through and through. Every moment you're playing is clearly a labor of love.
Yeah, the passion is required.
And I'm also happy to see Space Sector is still up. I just checked out of sheer curiosity. Glad to see it's still up and you're using it to promote the game. So, because there's years of content there, why not keep it up if you can afford it?
It's still there. The content is still there. Yes, if people wish to check it out.
Yeah, I think because you covered these games as a blogger. As a content creator, I think that gives you a unique perspective that you use to come into this, that I think a lot of developers can't share. Like, you saw the failures, you saw the mediocre, forgettable titles, and you're like, you got the idea, like, how can we do this better? And I got to say, it's worked, dude. I mean, I keep telling people this is one of the best Space 4Xs of the last decade. Like, no freaking question. It is on the top of my list as one of the best Space 4Xs of the last 10 years. Like,
thanks for the kind words.
Oh, it's easy to say when it's good. You know, it's easy to praise something when it deserves the praise. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
And your game definitely does. Do we have any other questions? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just wish to, if we are ending soon, I really need to thank. I really need to thank the community as a whole, and to the credits lists, the people that worked in the project, but the artists, the community at large, and then the VIPs that helped the game in its very ugly and very clunky pre-alpha stage, that bought the game, that believed that this could be special someday. It was very ugly. It was already enjoyable in certain aspects, but it really needed a lot of work. So all that helped a lot. I want to give special thanks to Mr. Keith Turner for being there all the time since the beginning, since the Space Sector days, also reviewing games alongside. So he also collected a lot of insight there. So these days we are co-designing, and it's been a thrill and really a surprise, and a realization that if you can find the right people, you can do anything. Even Unyu you can co-design a game. One thing that I didn't thought was possible, but with Keith is really easy. So if you find the right people, if you have the will and at least some resources, if you give it time, you can do it. I guarantee.
And I'm really glad when you took the leap of faith you took to follow this dream that it's been working out for you, because it doesn't work out for everyone. So I am just thrilled that's working out for you guys.
But these at least are the ingredients if you wish to succeed. You really need to give it time, and if you have the vision and the burning desire to see something, if you find some other souls that share your passion, maybe you will be able to do it. For the time being, it's working well enough for Praxis Games for us to keep going.
That's all you can really ask for. Especially these days with 1 billion games coming out and discoverability being just horrendous. That's pretty damn good, I think.
As I often say, it's a weird and wonderful time to be a gamer.
It really is. And it's probably a terrible time to be a developer. There's just so many games. There's so much out there. And it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle.
That's true. That's true. That's another key aspect as well. I think we were lucky in that regard also. I was forgetting that we had the blog, the spacesector.com blog, so that aspect also helped a lot.
Yeah, and you made developer diaries over there, and you made content about the game and everything.
That helped a lot.
Yeah, people love that stuff. I don't think a lot of devs realize that people want to see how the sausage is made. You know, people love seeing how the sausage is made.
It's another way to start. If you don't want to start right away, well, it's another way. You can start writing about games maybe or somewhere and just have a space. And the funny and great thing about this blogging thing, and as I'm sure you guys also, some of you know, or podcasts, or you do podcasts, is that you start to find people with the same interests.
Oh,
of
yes.
Of course, and then you form a community, and then everybody starts to share the same interests. So that's how things started for me to happen naturally. And it was not artificial. It was the opposite. It was very organic because I really had the passion and the others also had. So, and then things happen. So maybe that's another suggestion is if you want to start in the indie developing scene, or you join a team and learn there maybe, or you start somewhere and find a space for you and then others will join. And then you have some people that can work with you and one day you can make things. Well, maybe that's another way to start, because I'm sure that if you start from nothing and you don't have a space of your own to be heard, and it will be tough. But that's why there are places like yours, Space Game Junkie and others that find these developers, so that also helps a lot, bring them to the light.
I mean, I can't tell you how much joy this whole thing gives me. I mean, there are very few things in my life that give me more joy than this. So, and this community and whatnot.
Great to hear, and it's very helpful.
Oh God,
people, I'm sure
it's making this just literal crap time we live in so much that much easier to cope with. You know what I mean? It's like having that community, having that sense of place in the world is just so important. So
yeah, it's wonderful.
You know, before we go, I wanted to say that there may be a lot of 4X games out there, but from my standpoint, there aren't a lot of 4X games out there that are so neophyte friendly like this one is. And so on behalf of all the other 4X noobs in the world, thank you for making a game that is neophyte friendly.
So, friends, the game is Interstellar Space Chances. If you haven't picked that up already, we've only said it about 400 times. The game is Interstellar Space Chances. You can get it on Steam along with its 2 expansions and soundtrack. And if you have even a passing interest in space strategy games, you got to pick this one up. Seriously, it is so good. It does so much right. And it'll just... I had to force myself to stop playing the other day when I was recording the background footage here, because I'm like, oh God, it's dinner time. I have to stop. It had been like an hour and a half, and I had no idea. You know, I mean, it flew by. So this is one of those games that the time will just melt away because it's so good. So please, if you haven't already, pick it up. It is great, and it'll be on your hard drive for a very long time, thanks to its amazing amount of variety. So that's going to do it for this episode, Adam. I want to thank you for coming on once again and talking about the game. And I hope we can bring you on again to talk about it further. Hint, hint. Next week.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. Next week, no guest. We're going to have a topic. We're going to talk about genre stagnation and staleness. Have some genres and some types of games gotten too similar to each other? That's going to be...
Speaking of Master of Orion.
Oh, yeah, that could definitely be part of it. And then tomorrow on the stream, we're going to do our last 1942 Pacific Air War stream. Such an amazing game.
Yay!
Oh, so good. So we'll see you back here tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific time, everyone. Have a great day. Be safe. Be well. Take care of each other. And please, for the love of God, or whatever gods or deities you happen to worship, if any, get vaccinated. Please. If you haven't already and you're listening to the sound of my voice, please get vaccinated. Please. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.